No, it says, welcome to Taranaki Foodies with Area 41, the tastiest food show on the Most FM. Today in the studio, it's me, Alina Williams, with your local foodies and broadcasters on the Most. We have videographers today, Nathan Griffiths and Ollie Foy, and we have a very interesting guest today. His name is Jim Hedlow, and he's a former broadcaster on the Most who had a very interesting show, which we are going to ask him some questions about. How about we listen to some music first? It's called Red Wine. It was at the very beginning, okay, and then I changed, I swapped it, and then I thought, what problem? I'll swap it again.
What are we doing here?
This is the Russian snack for children. It's made of corn and it's very sweet. So
From Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. It will make you glow at night. You know, not all of it. Only certain parts. So yeah.
It's honeycomb?
What is it?
Would you say
This is what I made for Graham Donald's anniversary, and I didn't do any to Oleg because there's a little bit of water like that, but it's still something.
Yeah.
Just like yeah, I did it.
What is it?
I don't know what it's called. You know, Russians are very creative with their drinks. There is a little bit of a juice, I suppose. There is lots of fruit with a little bit of a vodka.
Maybe a little bit of it.
Yes.
What is it?
I don't know. I didn't want to compromise the station. My husband says that I totally kind of corrupted New Zealand already. I don't want to continue. Did you like the choice of my music? I bet you didn't hear some of them.
I don't like 660.
Well,
And I don't know the other
remove
one.
that. 660, you don't like
Oh,
it.
no, I don't like
That much.
I don't dislike it. I just think I overrated.
I just wanted to
choose to play it at home with all
So everything is about why? Because you are sure. So whatever you say during air, obviously will be heard on the radio. But if we have a listening to the music and the radio listeners listening to the music, it's still recorded. So be aware of that. We didn't have normally any problems only once or twice. For information.
You never do you brew wine? Make cider. You make a cider. Cider and beer. Spirits. Oh, you make spirits. Have you got a still that you put on your kettle or something like that? No. That's
It sounds like a real Russian man. This is like a household talk in the Russian village. Welcome back to Taranaki Foodies with Area 41. We are at the Most FM, and our guest today is Jim Hedlow, who is the former broadcaster on the Most FM. Hello, Jim.
Good. How are you all?
Okay, well, when I came to the studio today, there were so amazing vibes today, and I actually felt like leaving because Warwick Foy and Jim Hedlow had so many things in common. They were discussing brews, they were discussing wines, they were discussing music, people whom they knew, and I was out of it because I'm relatively new. Warwick.
We make you feel welcome. Yeah, you said there was only a small amount of vodka in this.
Yes, people were drinking a drink, and those who follow us, please go on the Facebook group, which is called Taranaki Foodies with Area 41. Watch us live on Facebook, on Twitter, or on YouTube. So we have a drink which I made at home. It is like sangria punch. I don't know. Russians are very creative with their drinks. It is a little bit of a vodka. That's why the youngest member of our crew, Ollie Foy, doesn't drink it, but all the rest are quite sweet. So, Warwick, did you like my drink?
I do like it. It's very crisp and refreshing, and I like the watermelon that's in there.
Wow, that's really nice. We do reviews online, and normally we're quite creative about it. So it's the first time I actually got the review. Jim, you had a radio show at the Mostifel, which was called The Wine Show. How long ago was that?
Oh, sometimes don't ask me about dates. Like 2013,
Yeah,
I think I must have finished.
Oh, it's not too long ago. I was alive by then.
Yeah, maybe 8 years now, isn't it? Sometime, maybe, yeah, 2013, I think I finished.
It was a groundbreaking show. I always listened, and I was lucky enough to be invited on by you a couple of times. we were obviously on, I don't know about white, so it was beer.
But yeah, well, and then it started out as a wine show, and then sort of changed the format more into just generally, it was called couple talk things, so talk about booze.
Did you have many guests every week? Or was
Yeah.
So who did you invite normally?
Oh, like you just meet people and go, you want to come on one show? Well, it shouldn't have surprised me, but it did. A number of people I did meet and listen to it. So as soon as they mentioned that, so you want to come on? So it was just a random selection of people, and that was good.
Your topic was really good to engage with because a lot of people like alcohol, let's face it.
Well, it's a social lubricant, isn't it?
Yeah, Jim is also one of the most saviors who, when their frequency went off air or the license was lost in 2008, he and several other people, some of whom are still involved, clubbed together and got the most back on air, and the new frequency exists today, 100.4.
Wow, this is amazing, really history. Show. Oh, awesome. So what was the format of your show?
Just sort of try and make as much wine on air as possible, really.
I like that. Sounds like us.
No, I mean, it was sort of reasonably, I mean, there was a point to it. In my opinion, there's a lot of hot air spoken about wine, and I'm just trying to bring it down to a level where people can understand it. And I still say today, the best wine you can drink is the one in your glass.
Wow, that's so cool.
Doesn't matter if it's a jam jar or the latest Spiegel production. Just enjoy it. That's what it's there for.
I wasn't sure about your credentials. I don't mean I doubted them. I just wasn't sure about it until one time I went around to your house and I saw a massive collection of wine books that you had.
Oh yeah,
including some that were enormous.
Did you read them all or do you just collect them?
No, I read them. Well,
awesome.
Don't say much now, but yeah. So it's where the knowledge is. I suppose it's all on the internet now.
Well, nothing can replace a book. I'm a huge nerd. I'm a book lover and absolutely love the smell of a fresh book and how you can actually interact with the book while reading. This is priceless.
Yeah.
Also, I was going to ask you the question I asked you at the media lunch where we met. So we had a really cool discussion, and obviously we used a lot of social lubricant there. I don't remember everything you told me, but my question was: I just returned from Napier, and Napier is known for grape reason. Grape area of New Zealand. So you said that you know a lot about growing grapes as well as making wine. You said that New Zealand is quite unique in it because they have some sort of soils or something like that. Is that true, or is it my imagination?
No, I think it's both. I don't know a lot about growing grapes. I mean, only what I've read. I have established a small, what I call a via. It's too small to be a vineyard. So just trialing. West Coast, basically in New Zealand, is a bit of a write-off. So we make look, if I get a decent vintage once every 7 years, I'll be happy. But essentially, I'm growing grapes to make brandy. So I just wanted to distill them. And to do that, you want quite an acid malt, as a beer brewer would know. You ferment, get a bit of cake out of the still. And so I'm not too interested in ripening them. So I've got a mix of white and red grapes, see how they go.
Do you press those?
Yeah, I've got some pinotage vines. The Lime Victoria, you want to make sour raspberry juice with those, which is actually quite good because it is a feature of pinotage if you ferment it incorrectly. So I'm doing that correctly. Just in being having become been in the wine industry as well as sort of looking at it from the outside. Yeah, we are. I don't know so not much unique. It's just the way our industry's been structured over the years. We haven't had that by the book European system where if you live in that area, you have to grow that grape, or if you live there, then you grow that grape. So New Zealand finds it able to go anywhere. And they'll find what works, and then they'll take over. I think Montana, as they were in those days, originally looked at the west coast to grow Sauvignon Blanc. That's where the Dalmatians, Yugoslavs, started growing West Auckland. In fact,
Savage.
all those guys were out there. So Oratia and all that. Well, look at that and think, why would you bother?
Mm.
And that's why they made it out of sugar and water and colouring.
Oh, no. It's
And
not like that.
I emphasise that I certainly don't claim to be knowledgeable about wine, but I would cast the opinion that some regions have come to be associated with varietals
Yes.
such as Gisborne,
Oh,
Chardonnay,
absolutely.
and so on.
Pink Floyd, Togo, Pinot Noir.
Yeah. But it is
Full
based
face
on,
around.
yes, but it's not fixed in stone.
No, they can go like. I was made over in the Hawke's Bay having a yak with him over the Christmas break, and he said it's very interesting in the Hawke's Bay. A lot of people are pulling grapes out and putting apples back in.
Oh, no.
Which is good because if you don't, you're just going to end up with a lot of really average wine, and there's actually more money in growing.
And I don't have this on authority, it's just an observation, but in northern part of the South Island, Marlborough area, they're pulling out grapes and putting in hops.
Fantastic.
It's an interesting conversation because you brew beer, you brew wine, and you brew brandy. So, what was the first fascination of yours?
Well, actually, luckily, after much distress, I found my old brewing diary. And that can tell me I put down my first brew in 1989.
Wow.
There was a long hiatus in between, so I brewed for 5, 6, 7 years back then, and then stopped just like family travelling. I went overseas, that's just like work. I sort of stopped then and, family and yada, how it goes on for it. And then just before lockdown, for some reason, probably financial, I decided to start brewing again. And so I went and a chap I know was going to make whiskey. So I gave him cans of malt, like malt extract, and 2 bags of rye. And went and got them back off him just before lockdown. And I made my first brew with those malts. And looked at the can, expired 1996. Awesome. So I'm brewing beer with stuff that had expired 14 and something years earlier.
Oh, my derelict.
The interesting thing was, you open the can, it was a lager malt, and it was as black as treacle.
Wow.
And so I brewed with it, and it fermented out, and it all tastes like Marmite with a bit of gumbo.
Sounds really appealing.
But the good thing was, because I was getting back into the brewing, it was good to get me, and it didn't really matter how they worked out. Just got on the gear, sorted, and that.
So
I have improved now. I have got beers that I'll take out in public.
back then we were using plastic buckets, no temperature control. Is that what you did, or is there some evolution?
Oh, no. I'm on plastic, fantastic. Yeah.
Temperature control.
Yeah, I was using my
The finger.
old light boxes that I made back in 1989 with a 40 watt. The problem is you can't buy 40 watt, 25 watt bulbs anymore, so I have to modify that a little bit.
And the yeast?
Oh, yeah, I've been fiddling around quite a bit with the yeasts. I don't know, kind of like the Sapphire, that's how you pronounce it. I think they make a good yeast. I have had occasional bit of trouble with the mangrove jack ones, like you put it in, nothing happens. It's like,
Talking about temperature control and other gadgets, in Russia, people brew things a lot, and sometimes they brew things from old stuff, I don't know, beetroot or whatever fruits, whatever available. So they make like this thing, I don't know what it's called in English, where they just ferment the first fermentation thing. So they put it in a big glass container with a narrow thing, and then on top of it they put a rubber glove. So when a rubber glove gets up and starts to wave, it means that's the right time. So scientific method.
that's the right time to drink it.
It's the right time to process because from
Okay.
this they can distill it into
Oh,
alcohol.
distillation.
Yeah. But I mean, some people drink that, but I don't believe that it's healthy, right? Okay, I think it's a perfect time to listen to our second song, which is Wine, Beer, Whiskey, and it is radio edit with no explicit language by Little Big Horn. It's like a ska music. Yeah. It reminds me of gypsies. Ska music somehow. I don't know.
Where is Little Big Town from?
I don't know. Find it out. Maybe we can talk about
In fixing and yeast on the right.
it.
So you wait and wait and wait and wait.
Does it? Why is kind why does it happen? Why is the
Yeah.
so temperature off? But I mean, there is always yeast in the ear. If you keep it long enough, it probably will start fermenting some
Yeah,
rotting ways.
there is to get enough of yeast you can control in there for getting in there.
Because they bring all sorts of flavours that are almost all undesirable.
Okay.
Some of them are desirable, but
But the ones that are desirable, you buy them back. And then,
It's the same with the bread, I suppose.
they're from no, Alabama.
American.
Southern boys.
Southern Boy.
So it's amazing how many things can come through the natural fermentation, as we discussed, beer, wine, cheese, bread, and a lot of other things. And control is the most interesting, important process in it, because if you
One brew all summer.
So you might, given your taste for wine, you consider brewing a saison, which loves saison yeast, loves heat.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And saison is very, is it Venice? Venice? You know what I mean?
Wine light.
Yeah, wine light, yeah. Can be, depending on much.
That's it. Belgium, isn't it?
Yeah,
I've used quite a bit of Belgian ale yeast to get the we're going more for the flavour. To make the vegetables in there to get them absorbed and
Yeah, triple.
I like drinking beer, not getting drinking first class.
Yeah, I don't. I do like just the basic Belgian beer though.
Yeah.
Banana.
banana stuff.
Belgian yeasts produce esters that give a banana and a clove and sometimes a sticking plaster, sort of plasticky.
Oh God, there's so
aroma.
much knowledge around it. I just drink it and never really thought about mine.
I didn't hate them.
Welcome back to Taranaki Foodies with Area 41, the tastiest food show on the Most FM. It's us, Alina Williams, Warwick Foy, your local broadcasters and foodies, and we have a guest today, which is Red person who knows a lot of things about brewing, about wine, alcohol, brandy, gin. Hello! We just listened to the song which is called Wine, Beer, Whiskey. So what is your drink of the moment?
There's some Russian vodka with peaches in it, or oranges in it. Oh, mandarin.
Wow,
Yeah.
I feel honored.
My drink of the
Doesn't
moment.
involve any brewing, although. Yeah, and while the music was playing, we discussed the control that we need to put on to brew properly.
Yep.
So you know what you're going to have at the end of the process when you start brewing, is it correct?
Well, put down, I'm going to brew 19 at the moment in my new iteration, and I still haven't found that recipe.
What are you looking for? What are you trying to create?
Just the best beer I can get that's drinkable and
Wow.
full as well. So I made a couple of lagers that have worked out at actually outstanding hazy IPAs. So, I just, well, I'll do it that way. And then, being a good Kiwi lad, I make it, then read the instructions. So I made my lager and I thought, how do you mean to make it? Oh, and it came out and really, really nice, which I'm super happy about.
Awesome.
I'm currently got a dark mild, which I'm really happy about. It's working, so I'm starting to get there. But ideally, might be popular. I want to be able to ferment where you control things and come into it. I'm a real hillbilly brewer, wood and plastic. Not a lot of stainless steel in my setup. And but I'd like to get it so I can get a good recipe or recipes for different types of beers for different time of year and social occasions, whatever it might be. And then bottle it without having to prime bottles with sugar. So I know that right, it's at that specific gravity, it's time to bottle it and it can finish fermenting and conditioning it irks me that I'm going to put white sugar because I spent all that time brewing without using sugar. But sure, yeah, it's sort of like, just defeats the purpose.
Yeah. How do you boil? Do you gas flame?
Yeah, gas range or
Explain to the listeners what you
Oh, so when you soak the sugars out of grain, or Jim's using extract, which means that's already been done, that creates something called wort, and that's sugary water with flavours from the malts, and then you boil that, and that there's chemical processes that occur there, which I don't fully understand, but it separates out proteins, it sterilises the wort, then you hop it, and then you ferment it.
I think
you boil the hops in there as well, and that extracts the flavour. So you can put your hops in early, and you won't get any of the flavour of the hop, you get the bitterness, and then you put it. So you have a hop schedule. I usually have about 3 introductions of hops, and then you can dry hop it at the end. So
my hop schedule has changed. I used to have bittering at 1 hour and then 10, 5, 1 minutes before the end of the boil. Now I still bittering hops, but flame out, bang, one hit, that's it.
okay.
I think you get much more out of the hops at that point.
I think that's how chemistry lessons supposed to look at school. Because
the other thing I've picked up, is that what I didn't work out until I read about it was that extracting the flavour and bitterness out of hops, you need water. So my kettle's just big enough to do it. It's got about 6mm freeboard to do a 30-litre brew. So I do need a bigger kettle. The other thing is it doesn't have a tap on it, but it's going to be able to lift it up and pour it in. So.
Have you come across the new product which is anti-desiccant, which is a little few drips of it's what you know when you spray your lawn and the spray runs off the clover.
Yep.
So there's a chemical.
Oh, okay,
Yeah. So
the wettest thickest spreader.
yeah. So you could buy this and it stops your beer frothing and foaming, so you can get more into your pot.
Oh, okay. Oh,
wow,
I've got
that's
some in the
interesting.
shed that I put my herbicide. Sprinkle a bit of that in the breaking.
It's just a breakthrough because I'm the same. I've got 35 litres, and if you put a glass of hops in there, it can be borderline.
Oh.
But now it's problem solved.
Okay.
So you've got some good advice on the radio.
I know they use it in stills as well.
Yeah.
Foaming in stills, otherwise they dirt and you get.
Awesome. I'm really impressed with all the knowledge that was in the studio, but honestly, what I'm unimpressed is by the title you gave it. Bench number 19, really? Can't you be more creative about it?
So I know what it comes out like.
I really like the word that you use, brevity. How about that?
I've got a good story for you on a beer name.
Okay, tell us more.
This comes from the wonderful Alan Day, who does our drive show and voices show also.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Alan is listening, but we were at Mike's having a beer, and there was a Mike's beer produced called Without Warning, which is the Andre song that was produced in Manila, produced in association with him. And Alan was trying to recall the name of the beer. Just thinking, and he came up, not Without Warning, he came up with Strangely Aroused. So I stole that.
This is very creative. I would say.
So I have my strangely aroused wheat.
I mean, it's a good word, all positive. I can't find any negative. So it is quite interesting that we had a lot of brewers coming to our studio, and everyone mentioned that the main ingredient of it and the main contributor to the taste is actually water. So why is your water, does it add any taste? Why is it unique? Do you find any uniqueness in the water?
I haven't gone that deep. Either rainwater or bore water, depending on the time of year and how much.
You use rainwater?
Yeah, that just goes into the tank, so I'm not on town water.
Okay.
So I don't use gypsum or anything to soften it or harden it or anything. I'll find the beer that it makes best.
That's a really interesting. The hot water chemistry is another whole show.
Yeah.
I don't know about the water chemistry of either rainwater or bore water. What I do know is that the Plymouth town supplied water, or if we didn't have the chlorine in it, the chlorine is the biggest problem. But the chemical balance of it is pretty much a blank slate.
Do you strip the chlorine out before you brew?
I can do that by filtering, but I just let it sit for a day, and I just hope that it comes off.
they say that freezing it and then taking the ice and leaving all this whatever left underneath, and then melting it changes the structure of the water. And they say that very silky beers are produced by it, but it's only for very refined ones. Try it and tell me what is going to happen.
It's a refined.
Where can people try your beers?
I can't. No, I mean, the great thing about New Zealand, we're one of very few countries where you can brew, ferment, and distill as much booze as you like. As soon as you start selling it or even giving it away in quantity,
you have to meet an
our people
obligation.
come down on you like a ton of bricks, and there's been a few brewers around New Zealand that have found it after their demise, really.
So it's an interesting system. It's a system.
Excise man.
Excise. You can make as much as you want, but you cannot sell a drop.
Oh,
That's
okay.
quite interesting.
You can't even, you're not even meant to give it away in front. You can sit down if they come to your house when you go out, you can take it, but you're not even meant to, they might have it. Because that is distribution.
Remind me why we are not drinking a beer today.
Well, I was coming on the food show.
You
I thought, think about it, I had a couple of bottles. I was a bit nervous about Warwick.
Of course, Warwick is so scary, I know.
Probably staying steel and temperature control. Yeah, mine's a hillbilly beer.
And I didn't even enter my mind to break some beer for you, but I should have.
That's fine. When we make you a guest. What do you recommend? What is your best advice to the person who just started brewing? What do you think is the most useful thing?
Cleanliness.
Cleanliness.
It
Oh,
doesn't matter what, as long as it's clean.
okay.
Sterilise, hot liquid. You can make beer quite cheaply, but I think if you add it on your hot water bill, it's probably going to be about as much as a commercial beer, not a craft beer. The other thing, I don't really call my home brewing, I like to call it craft beer.
Oh,
I've
that's
crafted it.
yes.
I
Well, the
agree with
home
that.
brew has connotations to it.
everyone has bad
Some
brew.
It's just horrible. I mean,
Cheese.
I've made them, and I
I
brewed one once ages ago and it had aluminium. Oh, I couldn't do it. Don't never do it.
what does that? There's some chemical reaction.
Oh, yeah. It's openly, tastes like not a good way.
I agree with a few people ask me about brewing. I always say you really do need to be a surgeon. It's that particular. If you get any little gravy into your beer, it will take over. It will taste like crap.
Yeah.
Temperature control is also important. And the third thing that most brewers overlook at some point before they finally learn the lesson is yeast management. Either under pitching or the wrong temperature or just not looking after the yeast, which is a live organism. And if it's shocked or if there's not enough of it, you'll get off flavors.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, the yeast, that's all it's about is the yeast. You've got to give it the ultimate advice. We're doing all the work, it's turning your sugar into alcohol. Why would you treat it badly?
That's right. You know, spend $30 on grain, $30 on hops, and then you think, oh, I don't want to spend the extra $5 on a second sachet of yeast. And then your beer turns out full of deacetylate.
Oh,
I have found, starting the yeast first can be quite helpful too.
Yeah, I agree.
Just getting it going, and so it goes in there, it sort of had that shot, it's wet, it's got yeast machine, you put that in, and away they go.
I have a theory about drinks that each drink represents an emotion or a situation for me. So with a friend that I know for a long time, I'll probably drink good old red wine.
Yep.
When I'm by myself and in a mood that I really want to center or maybe just get rid of some emotions, I'll drink whiskey with dark chocolate. In social situations with girls and things, I'll probably drink something like Pinot Gris white wine. Yeah. If I'm in a mode when with guys, because I have a lot of guy friends, we will go and drink beer, and I feel very comfortable about it. Do you have any association of drinks with your emotions or situations? Or you just drink beer all the time?
No, I don't. No, I'm just trying to think. I don't know if I get that emotional about it.
Except when you make a bad one.
That gets me, that winds me up. No, I don't stay for lunch. I made some soup and the bread and whatnot. Oh, waffle down into the cellar and grab a bottle of sherry and have that. I got down there, oh no, maybe not sherry, I'll have a white wine. Oh no, I won't. I've got a bottle on my side and had that. Just sort of on the moment, but went down there, I was focused on going, get a bottle of sherry, nice dry sherry, have a soup and bread first, sort of Mediterranean style. I got down there, actually excited on the day.
What about you?
So the question was the emotional connection with the drink of the time. I don't have one. I generally will have beer depending on the temperature. So you don't have to do this, but I like a dark beer when it's cold, a lighter beer when it's warm. Glass of red wine with the barbecue.
Or any time, really.
Well, I'll ask you because you said whiskey. So are we talking single malt, blended, American whiskey? What do you?
I actually prefer single malt whiskey, and I found my favorite whiskey maker, which is in New Zealand, and they produce quite an expensive whiskey. The bottle costs about $135. And it's a smoked Manuka smoked whiskey, and it has a very, very soft taste. I like the fact that it does kind of give me, I don't know, I feel like I'm talking to my father.
Okay.
That's a strange thing. I had a problem with my father before, but when I drink whiskey, I feel like I'm protected and I kind of unloading some problems. Sorry, guys, it's not an Alcoholics Anonymous show. Sounds like one. I think it's a perfect time to listen to the next music. No.
Padrona, how many distilleries do we have making commercial whiskey? Not many.
Yeah. Well, what was the brand?
Thorn.
Oh, Thorn and something.
I'll have a look and I'll tell you after this. Yeah. It's, they received several gold medals internationally. And I discovered them during lockdown. The lockdown, I was total scared. Basically, I don't remember several days. Yeah, and
I know New Zealand makes good spirits.
Yeah. So they've got, I think, in 2018. Yeah, I think in 2018 they won some international awards, and prior to that some New Zealand one. And because they use the smoking process, which is not easy. Normally it's in a barrel, but smoking is.
You just put your brain in the barbecue and chuck it. That's how I do it. So I smoke my rye.
I don't know.
Just cook it a bit.
No. So I have the rye in an oven tray. I'm a hillbilly stuff. In an oven tray, I have the only back burner over there on with a steel box, and I put the chip in, the oak chip and casuarina and whatnot. That goes in there, and then I stir it every 5 minutes, and I smoke it because it generates heat to smoke. Put the lid down.
I came from a drinking culture, so Russians are all drinking from early age, basically. But I honestly didn't like vodka. It's not the drink of my choice. When I discovered whiskey, I just thought that something deep inside, and maybe genetical memory was evolved. I absolutely love cider because cider is like a lemonade with a little bit of a and I discovered beer when I was working for a German company, and I went for extended kind of I would call it holiday. I just spent some time in Germany. So it was really interesting because before I didn't drink beer, but I was always working with mostly males, and I had to start drinking beer. Otherwise, I'll be one of the group. It's easy to be excluded if you don't drink.
We were talking about home the other day because one of my I poured an IPA, as it turned out, really, gets a stonking hit on it. Holds well, sits in the glass comes up. I'll try and get away from that. And I thought, I don't think that's when you get a beer with a bit of a head on it for a change. And you didn't know, looking at all the other glasses, commercial wheels, pancake. And then
It's a New Zealand.
Pouring.
Yeah.
My mild gets a nice head on it. And I think that is part of the beer, is to get a head on it. And then when I talk to a friend who was at home, she was saying, she worked in the pubs in the UK. And if she left the tiniest gap at the top of the beer glass, they'd say, oh, can you put a whiskey in it? Sort of thing, and it's being rude.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you can go to Germany, they've got these huge steins,
Yeah.
a litre of beer and a litre of froth.
But actually, they measure the quality of the beer, how well it froths in Europe. So when my husband came to Ukraine, he said that why don't they actually undo my glasses? I said that it's part of the culture. You need to see the froth to estimate, to see that you got a good beer. In New Zealand, there's opposite. It's supposed to be a special way of pouring. Welcome back to Taranaki Foodies with Area 41, the tastiest food show on the Most FM. We have a rare guest today in the studio, Jim Hedlow, who is the brewer who brews, you name it, cider, whiskey, brandy, beer, wine, whatever. And we're about to wrap up the radio show. Do you have any other information, or maybe any project you participate, or maybe you brew a new beer that you want people to know about?
Haven't yet. I'm thinking about it. I've just cleaned out the boozery and about to put down my next brew and go and get some apples from my friends who have an apple orchard. So
Cider?
make some cider. And the good thing about making the cider is that I also make apple brandy.
That's
Cider,
going to say,
so,
is there an apple spirit?
yeah. Trying to get the Calvados sort of go, but getting there. But yeah, I just think just enjoy it. Instantly.
You're not going down to Croucher and Crowder and buying the little flavour bottles. I know, because I can tell by your face. So that means you can only make brandy, pure ethanol vodka, maybe gin, because you can use the
Maybe gin.
Is that all?
Well, so if you just do a sugar shine as a standard, so my walnut, soaked in my walnut, made a walnut liquor, which is actually really nice, but extremely well Christmas cake and rich fruit cakes. Made almonds, same thing. A friend gave me a huge amount of almonds. My youngest daughter very kindly split them open, gave them a light roasting. So it's all infusions, macerations like techniques, and then made a liqueur. Yeah, so no, but my apple brandy, made it, apple juice, fermented it, cider, and put it into a little barrel. It was in a barrel for about 8 months, and it's got colour and the flavour and
Wine barrel?
actually, no, it's probably, I think, looking at it, I don't really know. Well, I know that it's an old sherry barrel. Hey, little 13 litres. I think they were importing those back in the 60s. Oh, I found them in the junk shop. Well, I shouldn't say that. And then recycled goods store in the Philippines, Nick Andrews. And it's taken me a long time to get it to work properly, but I'm starting now. And found another one, and apparently it was made by an apprentice barrel maker at the old Waitara freezing works back in the day.
Is it a barrel maker? It's called a cooper. Is that correct? How many apprentice coopers do you know?
Not many, but I actually met a chap who was a cooper at Oxford. They used to put the natural condoms into the barrels.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of trivia, isn't it?
Yeah, just in case you go to
If you don't
pub
know.
quiz.
Yes. Do you know that condoms are made out of intestine from
Sheep appendix.
sheep?
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Natural. They still make them, they still use them, there are people that allergic to latex or that. Yeah, I know what that's got for food.
Wow, I mean,
Oh, there we go.
yeah.
No, it's been good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, and it was really nice to talk to you, and hope we will see you again in our studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, few messages from our sponsor, Area 41 on Brougham Street. Please come there, check the new menu. They have amazing desserts. If you want to book in for a get together or a corporate event, please use their two spaces where you can have a lot of privacy and a lot of fun. And check their wine list, because they have they renew their wine list every 6 months, and they invite special person from Auckland who will look after the Italian wines. So visit Area 41, the restaurant that supports the Most FM and Taranaki Foodies on the Most FM. Thank you very much to listening to Taranaki Foodies with Area 41. Listen to us every Saturday at 4 p.m. on the airwaves 104.4 FM. Thank you. Bye bye, Jim. Bye bye, Warren.
Right, have a great rest of the weekend out there.
Wow, it was good. You see, you've been speaking for 45 minutes.